the Diamond. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game starters were announced last night. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, shockingly, were both on those lists. Ohtani and Judge, the only repeat starters actually from last year's game. Ohtani adds a bit of history to the selection, becoming the first player voted to start a designated hitter in 4 straight All-Star games. Ohtani and Judge both on Triple Crown watch. You look at where they are in these various categories. Judge leads the AL in all 3 Triple Crown categories, while Ohtani leads the National League in both batting average and home runs. If they were to both win it in the same year, that'd be the first time that happened since 1933, where I'm sure, it was, as Buster Olney knows, it was in fact Jimmy Fox and Chuck Klein. And with that, we welcome in our MLB insider, Buster Olney. Buster, we just saw that ranking of Judge and Ohtani among the Triple Crown categories. Could you imagine a situation where they pull that off, where they both win it?
Yeah, Dan, it's almost unimaginable, but yeah, they both could do it because these are 2 players having historic seasons. Look, I think there's a major impediment for each of them. For Aaron Judge, it's the batting race because in the next couple days, Stephen Kwan of the Guardians, who's been hurt, will qualify with enough plate appearances to go into the batting race. He's about 40 points ahead of Judge, but remember, Judge is hitting .387 since April 27th. Maybe he overtakes Kwan. And on Ohtani's side, he moved into the leadoff spot after Mookie Betts got hurt, and eventually, Dan, that's going to affect the number of RBI opportunities that Ohtani gets. That is his biggest challenge among categories because he's fighting Alec Boehm, he's fighting Marcell Ozuna of the Atlanta Braves.
I always say the most important thing to remember is the baseball season is incredibly long and has many twists and turns, so we'll see how these guys do in terms of finishing off over the next few months. But we are roughly around the halfway point here, and so because of that, we wanted to ask you for some mid-season superlatives. Who would you say has been the biggest surprise of the season so far?
How about the Kansas City Royals, who last year lost 106 games? And Dan, as of this morning, they would qualify for the American League playoffs if the postseason started today. Bobby Witt Jr., their shortstop, is an MVP candidate. Their pitching has been tremendous. Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans. The Royals taking a big step forward this year.
Yeah, I remember covering Bobby Witt's dad, but that's a story for another day. How about the biggest disappointment other than my age?
It's got to be the Chicago Cubs, who started this season 18-10, but since then, they have utterly collapsed. Their offense has fallen apart. Seiya Suzuki has struggled. Cody Bellinger has struggled. Dansby Swanson has struggled. And now we're asking the question about whether or not the Cubs actually might be sellers before the deadline.
Wow. All right, one more before you go. We need a midseason World Series pick in October. Who are we going to be watching?
You know, Dan, I'm sticking with my preseason pick, Phillies over the Yankees. And look, I've made a lot of stupid picks in the past. Last year, the Padres winning the World Series. But this one's looking pretty good. The Phillies, you know, before the trade deadline, Dave Dombrowski will be aggressive to plug the holes. Great lineup, late rotation. They're excellent. I think the Yankees will be the most aggressive team before the trade deadline in plugging some of those holes that they have.
Yeah, Philly's a little banged up. If you feel like those guys that are hurt, Real Muto and those guys are all coming back, and Bryce Harper and everybody, they'll be just fine.
Yep.
Yeah, well, so.
Yeah, they'll be just fine. They're the best team in the National League.
A preseason World Series pick is not looking too bad. Hey, Buster, this brings back memories. Our Sunday night baseball matchup is the series finale in the Bronx between the Red Sox and the Yankees. 7 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern with Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown.